My name is Efe Bes, drummer, storyteller, mask maker, clothes designer, DJ, and a bunch of other things I can't even think of. I used to be a race car driver. I used to be an African art collector for Olayami Dabls on Washington and Grand River. And one day I pick up this statue. The statue fall out of my hand and fall on this drum. And I forget about the statue. I'm like, I want this drum. And that's this drum right here. That's my first drum. That's how I got into drumming, and that was when I turned 40 years old. And I've been playing ever since then. Well, the way I learned after that is I have one drum, and I have a man by the name of George Heron who used to tell me, just keep your cadence up. Don't worry about nothing else, just keep your cadence up. So I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about initially. And then it finally came to me what he was talking about. So I just started playing. I started listening to old African music, and it seemed like there's some connection between the mask, the statues, and the drum. And what the connection is, it's all rhythm. The same rhythm that it took to make the mask, it takes to make the music, et cetera, et cetera. So that's basically how I got into playing drum, and how I became a solo drummer is, it appeared that nobody wanted to play with me. So I said I have to play by myself. The majority of the drums that I have are from Senegal, the Dundun family. I have some Savar drum, and I have 2 Ghanaian congos, and I also have one drum, it's called a Simbo, created by Simbo, one of the world's leading drum makers and drum players. The reason I mix up the drums is because I'm looking for something similar to what you have on a keyboard, to where I have all the different sound, and when need be, I'm gonna go to that sound. And if need be, I'm gonna mix 2 or 3 of those sounds to get the sound that I'm looking for. That's basically it. Thank you. If anybody have any question, have time to ask any question?
Yes, sure.
Anybody have any question? Before you ask a question, if you want to know how to do this, I can teach you. Matter of fact, just give me one person. Anybody, raise your hand. Somebody. One person. Come on. Okay. Anybody? You don't even want to know how this come to be? I tell you how it come to be.
How did it come to be?
I used to get kicked out of drum classes all throughout the city, African Senate, non-African Senate, whoever. And so I said, I'm going to play for myself, and I'm going to make it sound like you all playing with me. So that's how I developed this style.
Woo!
But seriously, any questions?
How many drums do you have up there?
How many drums? I have 9 drums if you count the bongo. I can play up to 25 drums. Yeah, it's all depending on how much the people pay me. No, I'm just kidding. I have to have a bigger stand. I have to have a bigger stand. That's what the problem is.
Is there magic in the mask?
Why do I wear the mask?
Is there magic in the mask?
Is there magic?
In the mask.
In the mask. I don't know. You know, I wear the mask because of ancestral communication. And some people may say that's magic because nobody teach me how to play the drum. I learned from communicating with the ancestor. And I started at 40 years old. And when I started at 40, I had in my mind to take over the drum world because the drum needs to lead the music for the music to change. That's what the problem with the music. The drum's not leading.
Right. Yes!
So I think that's my time. Is that my time, Olayami? Okay. I have time to do encore? Okay. My name is Efe Bes. The system that I'm playing right now is the Bes Method, a 3-drum system that naturally creates a melody. Anything you do on top of that, so this is the entry level. This is the it's more like I would say like a weave. Like if you're watching somebody weaving the clothes, basketball players weaving, it's a continuous thing. But you hear breakdown in it, and I don't play with my feet, as I think it's very disrespectful for people to be kicking the drum even if they have a pedal on it. One of the first people I ever played with was Akunda. I played with Jalo Jakate, Sawande, Marwan, Uche, Jeff Nzoma, Allende. I've played with all these people at different times. Craig Huckabee, one of my dropout students. Well, if you're a drummer and you're playing with me, you're a student, whether you know it or not. So when I refer to people as being a student, that's what I'm talking about. But there are people that actually have paid to learn the Bes Method, and some of them are college professors, some of them are children. I can teach anybody how to play it because it's like intuitive. And if you notice, if you look at the band, say a jam session, you're going to notice everybody tune their instrument except for that drummer. You get 10 different drummers sit down and play, and none of them are tuning the drums. Maybe somebody might tune the snare, but that tells you something about what they're looking for as far as music. Like I said before, it came about because I had to figure out a way that I could play the drums and have it sound like some music to my ears. You know, not just so much the listeners, because once I hear the melody, then I can put something on top of it. But if I cannot hear the melody, I can't put nothing on top of it. So it kind of came out of necessity because I ended up playing by myself most of the time. I would say the foremost spot to find African culture would be Olayami Dabls. Secondary spot, I'm going to say Godwin over at Yum Village. And then maybe third, I'm going to say Nandi's over on Oakman. She has some African masks and statue and books on African history. The other spaces don't have anything really dealing with African culture. It's almost like we don't know we need some places to be dealing with African culture. So yeah, it's 700,000 people roughly, black African people in the city, and no place to go get the culture, except for the internet. Well, if you don't have the material culture, you're going to just have some words. But we are a material people. That's why we create the masks. That's why we create the statues. It was never for art. It was for communication purposes. And just like with this mask, anybody who's looking at it, something is happening up here when they see the mask. It stimulates thought. And so the material culture is the foundation of all African culture prior to religion coming to Africa. And the reason we use the material culture is because it can be seen, it can be explained to a 5-year-old. John Louis proposed to me to do a mask exhibition. So he said, we want to do 100 masks. And I said, okay, doesn't sound like a lot. But I started actually making masks then for revenue. Prior to that, I'd just been making masks pretty much to wear for myself and for other people, and not really charging any money. But it's a way of communicating with what's not here anymore. By way of the masks and statues, when I see different masks and statues, I can come up with my own interpretation of it, kind of like people do with music, because it's all rhythm-based. Not so much thinking about the genres as thinking about the crowd, whoever's the crowd. I'm picking up on where the crowd is at, either based on how they dress, how they talk, how they move, et cetera, et cetera. Like when I used to play at Eastern Market, I cannot play the same thing all day or nobody's gonna put money in the basket. I gotta change according to how the people that are moving. And so, I read crowds, and I know this kind of crowd, they're gonna like this kind of music. So it's really based on the crowd when I'm playing in public. When I'm playing at home, it's based on whatever, happens to come across. I do, but it's kind of rare. You know, you hear it obviously in the Latin music, but in most of the radio music, the closest thing I would say you hear to the African music would be hip hop with the boom and bass drum reminiscent of the doom doom. My advice to you, if you want to become a musician, don't worry about becoming a really, really, really good musician, because then you will not have a lot of really good friends. People tend to look down on if you're that much better. If you're just slightly better, it's okay. But if you're that much better, you can be a problem. You'll be feared. It'll be few people that'll love you, but the most of them will be like in the way. Trust me.